Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Top Tier Talk. This week, there's a weekend of FA Cup football and League football for Watford because we got knocked out. But the Friday game was Arsenal versus Man City. So, Elliot, start with you.
Yeah, what can I say? Apologies for everyone listening. I'm a little bit ill, but we move on. Where to start with that game, really? It was kind of whoever's going to make the first mistake is going to kind of concede first because we were pretty evenly matched throughout that entire game. I think there wasn't an area that kind of lay between who was bad, who wasn't. There wasn't like a dominant team out of that game. There wasn't like Man City's been better. There wasn't Arsenal's been better. There wasn't any of that really. It was just kind of evenly balanced. Everyone kind of did their job. Rob Holding kept Haaland quite quiet as well. I know he got a yellow card before half time, but he did his job. That's what he's supposed to do, is piss him off, which he did, which is nice to see. It's Look, there's nothing much to say really. We got knocked out the FA Cup by the league leaders. Well, not the league leaders, sorry, the previous league champions, and they played a fucking strong team against us as well. There was maybe their goalkeeper and maybe their left back who were like the only ones who were different. Everyone else was their starting 11 for their Premier League side, whereas we played, like as you saw, Rob Holding, KT. We played like a different, like we put Trossard instead of Martinelli. We played Fabio Vieira. We played, obviously, Matt Turner had a fucking great game, by the way. I want to say that. Top tip out to that guy. But we played a completely different team. I know Tommy Cafu played at right back as well, instead of Ben White. So, and obviously, putting that kind of team up against Man City is pretty ballsy from Arteta. And it goes to show, like, we've got a pretty decent kind of backups, but there's a few in that team that are still not up to scratch. This is why I think Arteta is still planning to buy a few transfers, which is obviously what we'll get onto in a later video. But from what I'm comfortable with, I'm not upset by the FA Cup because, as I say, our main priority now and our focus is probably on the Premier League at this moment in time. So I'm pretty hopeful in the 15th of February when that comes around, when they play us at the Emirates, that we'll play our full squad, where we play like, Odegaard at the 10 role straight away. We play everyone like Saka, Martinelli, Partey, Xhaka, Ben White, Zinchenko. We play everyone for 90 minutes and see how that gets along. It's a big stepping stone. I think the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, and maybe even part of the Europa League, is a bit of a stepping stone for our like squad players to kind of show their worth and see whether or not they could burst into the first team. Which as I mentioned on the just a minute ago, like you got the Rob Holding and everything like that. But I think the only ones who can kind of prove their worth was Matt Turner. He had a great game, so he's got a bit of competition for Ramsdale now. They're both equally as fantastic as each other. Tomiyasu at right back, I think he does a job. He's fantastic. He knows what he's doing. He's good at it. He does really well at right back. Fabio Vieira, he's got to kind of bust himself up for the Premier League. I think he's used to the Portuguese league, where it's a little bit softer, in a point where you get a lot more time on the ball. And obviously, I might be speaking complete bollocks. I'm not too sure, but it just seems to be whenever he gets the ball, he thinks he has a lot more time than he does. But he's slowly getting to the point where he's learning that, so he's getting better, which I'm liking to see. However, there is one, and obviously, as I said, Rob Holding did a job. And KT is obviously slow. It's quite hard. It's quite hard for him to learn Zinchenko's role as a left back to kind of move into that midfield, because he's a traditional left back. So no one did bad. As I said, we were quite evenly matched the entire game. But one person who I'm afraid needs to, I think, go on a loan. And I think you guys know who it is, because he had an absolute shocker, in my opinion. You can flame me all you want. I'm not a true fan, whatever. But we need quality in this team. This is a title-winning side, and we need like a good player who knows where he's supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? It's a Premier League side and you don't know where you're supposed to be. I'm afraid, man. Lokonga. I said this. What was it? Do you remember the keep or sell video that we did, boys? And everyone was like flaming me for saying either sell or loan. I said either sell or loan Lokonga because he wasn't good enough, and they were like, "You're too early to judge." But he's been here maybe like a year and a half now, and he's still not got me out. He's still not like proved to me that he's, I don't know, a player for Arsenal. Because, like, as I say, like with Fabio Vieira, for example, like when he first joined, he was a bit soft because obviously he wasn't used to the physicality of the Premier League. But he's learning. He's quickly learning. He's adjusting really well. As you saw in the Europa League, he banged a goal against, I don't know who it was, like Zurich. So, but the Congo's just not learning. He's just jogging around the pitch, just a bit of a loose cannon. So either get rid of him or loan him.
Needs a bit of time. I'd say a loan would be better than selling.
A loan is very, very, very good for him at the moment, then, I'd say, because no one's really happy with his performance. You can ask any Arsenal fan. No one's really happy. Like, as I say, you want a player who, even if you put 100% in, Like, I wouldn't be asked, because then you can see he's trying, but he's just mindlessly jogging around the pitch, not knowing where anyone is, and that's not a Premier League player. So get some experience elsewhere.
I mean, I'm going to kind of chip in here on the game. I think that there's not much for you to be.
Yeah, there's not.
worried
It
about.
was evenly matched.
They had their strong team at Haaland,
Yeah.
etc. And you had some of your main players on the bench. So I think FA Cup scrap that. I think the league should be your focus, to be honest.
Agreed.
So there's nothing to really be to like think about. Like it doesn't mean as much as.
Yeah, just leeching onto that. Obviously, like every Arsenal fan I've seen, like even on Twitter, even speaking to as well, like no one's upset. Everyone's
Yeah.
gone. It's annoying, you know, because we're knocked out the FA Cup, but it's not annoying to the fact where we should have won, or do you know what I mean? We should have done this, should have done that, because we lost, but we played a good game, so there's nothing really we can complain about.
Can I jump in?
Oh God, Jason, what? I'm coughing all over the game.
Every Arsenal fan, whilst you're drinking your water, every Arsenal fan's going, right, the FA Cup, whatever, we're winning the league. It almost seems like everyone's just moved on and forgotten about Europe as well. Do you know what I mean? It's I know, like, there's still a lot of teams left, still a lot of games.
I think
It's almost like everyone's going league. And do you know what I mean? That's what it seems like to me.
Dan,
the thing is
before El speaks, Europa League, like, it's always been a banter competition. It's like a stepping stone to the Champions League. And if Arsenal have secured Champions League this season, which I think they have, then what's the point of winning the Europa League? I know it's another trophy, I know, etc. But I think
that's that. I completely disagree with that take. That is a poor take. Trophy's a trophy at the end of the day.
No, yeah, this is what I was about to leech onto, Dan. I was about to leech onto.
What's the point of the Europa League? Why do you want to win the Europa League? To get into the Champions League?
No. Let me speak about this, because I actually have the perfect answer to this as well. I think main focus, 100% priority for Arsenal Football Club this season, right now as we speak, is the Premier League title. We are looking at it thinking we can go ahead and win this. We can keep beating teams, and we can maybe even, hopefully, as an Arsenal fan and maybe many different other fans, beat Manchester City at the Emirates as well. That's a big stepping stone to the title as well. What you're saying, Dan, I completely agree with. Title's a title. I completely agree. We'll go out and let's say, for example, if the Premier League's like in our grasps, kind of, we'll go ahead and play all our full team for the Europa League as well, because as you said, it's a European title, but it's not our main focus. So we'll play a team like we did against Manchester City in the FA Cup, like we will in the Europa League. We'll play our fringe players. We'll play like the likes of Vieira, you know, El Neni, KT. I love KT to bits, but unfortunately Zinchenko's just ahead of him at the moment in time. You know, Tomiyasu, Rob Holding, obviously Kivior might play in the Europa League now as well. Matt Turner. You know, obviously, no, he's gone on loan now to Norwich, but Reece Nelson, you know, all these fringe players that kind of like, they're still good players, but then it's a place where obviously they're not like the title winning like 11 that we've got currently, which is why you should put them in that, and they'll still try for it. There's no reason why we just say sack it off. No. We'll still attempt to get the trophy, but if let's say, for example, if it's like a game in the Premier League midweek and then there's a game like the Europa League, our main focus will be on the league. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. It just seems to me
it is a trophy. You're right and stuff, but
it's not the main priority of a trophy.
Exactly.
The main trophy for our eyes right now in January, and obviously going into February now, is Premier League trophy.
As it should be as well. So I'm not like disrespecting the Europa League with it though.
No, I agree. Obviously, props if we can get both. I mean, bloody hell, if we manage both, we're a complete new team. But main priority is 100% Prem, because obviously we've got a 5-point lead with the game in hand. Everton away, they're a bit of a shambolic team at the moment. Sean Dyche is just walking in Brexit football. We should be winning that away.
Sean Dyche just taking over.
You never know. There might be all manager boosts.
It might, but
I
don't know if he's in charge of them on the weekend or not. I'm not too sure.
Sean Dyche, he is. He will be. It was announced today. Sean Dyche is a good manager. Everyone goes, "Oh, it's the Burnley manager, Brexit." He is to keep that Burnley team in the Premier League for as long as he did, and get them back up, and then keep them in the Premier again. To me, he's a good manager.
Yeah. Without backing as well, he didn't get much backing. So maybe if he gets a bit of backing,
but this is what I'm saying. He's fresh. Yeah. He's new to this Everton team, and half of the Everton team are kind of already out of it. They're kind of just like, oh well. Anthony Gordon's gone. The ground's down. Do you know what I mean? Like
tools that he should have.
Yeah, I think I know his point. He's trying to say that as good as Arsenal should.
He's You're just lagging a bit there, Dan. Sorry, but yeah, Amir, go on. What were you saying?
I agree with his point, but I think any team in the any Premier League game is hard.
No,
But,
yeah, you should never write off a single game at anyone in the Prem. Southampton
But
will be. We drew to Southampton and they're bottom of the table. Do you know what I mean?
that club is like really bad state right now, Everton. So I think you just capitalise on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dan, what about your game? Let's go on to yours and then we'll do the transfers after.
I'm lagging, so I'm going to try and make this quick. I didn't watch the game, just saw the highlights because there was trouble with the streams. Thanks to Watford. Yeah, the first goal we conceded was in there, and we ended up conceding from that terrible bit of defending from Kamara. Enjoy Udinese in Italy next season, mate, because that's where you're going, thankfully. And the second goal looked like a poor mistake from Sierra. It looked like he didn't want to take out, I think it was Akpom, and let the ball roll in front of him straight through to, I think it was Marcus Forss, who scored the second. It was 2-0 in the first half. Brought on some subs at half, which were youth players and a couple of the new signings and stuff, just to give game time.
Yeah, well, I mean they lost in.
On to Reading.
On to Reading. Yeah. For everyone watching, we are there. Top Tier Talk is away to Reading, watching Watford versus Reading.
We might get involved in the player ratings as well and have a little bit of
live player ratings in the Reading Stadium. Yeah,
exactly. But
everyone's zero.
Everyone's zero, exactly. They go this way. Transfers now, boys. Starting with you, because we're going to come to the main show at the end. Caicedo, yes or no? Do you want him?
Yes, but not for that price tag.
Why not? Talk to me.
I think the market is very volatile at the moment in a way that, like, I think the whole kind of Anthony, Mudryk, Grealish deals have kind of fucked up the market in a bad way. Where, for example, like you're looking at the likes of all these players and they're thinking, and all these players are thinking, well, if Anthony's got a ball for 80 million, why can't we charge that much for our players? You know, in my opinion, I don't think Caicedo's worth 70 million. I think he's a 21-year-old who's been in the Premier League for 9 months. And if we can secure him for maybe 40, 50 mil, it'll be a good deal because he won't walk into our team. This is what I'm saying. He's a 70 million pound sub. No, he won't. He won't.
If a Partey injury or a Xhaka injury, he's in.
Yeah, injury, he's in, but that's what I'm saying.
What if this 70 million or 80 million is the difference between you winning the league or not winning the league? Then what you saying?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm not saying it's a bad signing if we get him. I'm saying it is what it is. But I'm saying, like, if there was in my opinion, the market, as I say, is very volatile. Like, players have probably got an extra 20, 30 million on their market value right now because of how many of the previous transfers that have happened in the past year or two. And it's made it bad. Like, for example, you and me, I'm going to bring up Conor Gallagher. I see there's links of him going to Everton for the likes of 45, 50 million. But Conor Gallagher, 45, 50 million.
Listen, I think that he's worth that. English player, young player, potential.
50 million. I mean, you're laughing because you're getting 50 million off him. But...
Of course, I'm laughing. Yeah, I'll take 50 million. I'll drive him to wherever he wants to go.
Do you see what I mean? Like, but
that's how much players cost these days. Listen, the value of money. If you look at transfers over time, the value of money changes, doesn't it?
It does, but I don't know, man. Like, this is stupid at the moment. Like Anthony Gordon, for example, going for 40 million.
Yeah. No, we might think it's ridiculous, but we're comparing to other transfers that were cheaper. Like, obviously, like back in the day, Cristiano Ronaldo, 80 million, but.
Yeah, but
that's a now. Like, do you know what I mean?
I can link it to last year when we signed Odegaard on a perm. We signed him for 30 mil, 3-0.
That was a good buy, but I don't know. I think that's what you got to do. It's January as well. It's more of a get the reinforcements into the team. I know Chelsea is like a summer one. That's how we're acting, but
then again, that's what I was going to say. Like, just even linking on, like, I know obviously saying, but then as a whole, I just wanted to leech onto the whole Caicedo deal at the end there. Just as a whole, like, let's say, for example, take the price tag out. Yeah, he's a great backup, fantastic backup, Joe. He does a job. He's done fantastic for Brighton. He knows what he's doing. He can do his position well. He's a holding midfielder. That's what we want. Do you know what I mean? He'll probably link into that midfield very quickly when he goes into training. He'll know what to do. If Partey does get injured, then he's a great backup. Like, there's nothing to complain about. It's just obviously is what it is about the price tag, because obviously then you'll get the FA Cup. Oh, you shouldn't spend that much. But then, if we get the players we need for that title charge, then I'm happy.
Listen, I think he's a must for you, especially if you want to win this league, because you've brought in a few good players, the Trossards, the centre back we don't know much about, but this one right here, midfield as well, especially if Partey gets an injury. He might not, but if he does, he's the man to come in for him. And I think you should try and do. And this is what I wanted Arsenal to do. This is what Chavez was saying last year. Arsenal won't go above this for a transfer, etc. Arsenal need to think they're top of the league. Want to maintain at the top of the league and stay at the top of the league. You got to do this. This is how other clubs do
I
it.
agree. Oh yeah, I do agree. Yeah. But then again, but it's just a worrying price tag, man. Like 21-year-old, he's been in the Prem for 9 months.
I know you got like Pepe, like PTSD and stuff, but this guy's played in the Prem before, holding midfielder.
He's a great player. I'm not doubting that.
21 years old, like 21 as well.
But then I just want to link it back as well. Obviously, I'm not saying Mudrik's a bad deal, by the way, because obviously he didn't join us. Whatever. I'm fine over that. What I want to say is, in the summer just gone, Mudrik was linked with Everton to a £30 million deal. 30.
Yeah.
He tore it up in the Ukrainian league, and obviously tore it up in the Champions League before they got knocked out. And now his value, obviously, you guys bought him for 88 million. We were linked with him for 85, whatever, however many. Do you see what I mean? But this is like 3-4 months worth of like juice that he's provided with us. But he was 30 million and linked with Everton in the summer. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's how much they might have bidded, but it wasn't accepted, was it? So it's not that's how much he was going for. That's just how much they bidded for him.
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
He was quite unknown back then, so obviously that's why they put 30 million in for him. But I guess
I'm sure like scouts etc. knew about him. I heard Man City had looked at him etc. But obviously we sealed the deal. But in terms of other transfers, Chelsea, obviously the big news today is Enzo Fernandez. Will it happen? Won't it happen? How much Chelsea paying? I want Enzo Fernandez. I've said this since the start of January, and you guys remember you guys bantering too much money, etc., etc. We need a midfielder.
I agree. You do need a midfielder.
Enzo's needed. Jorginho's not signing a deal, so he's off. Thank God. Other outgoings, etc. But Enzo's 21 as well. He's young. He's there for a while. If we get him on the long contract that we got these other players for, especially before UEFA decide to obviously revoke or put in rules to stop a long-term contract, I think it would be a very good signing. And one of the reasons I think Chelsea want to get this done now and are willing to pay the 105 is because there'll be a lot of other teams in for him in the summer.
I agree. It's funny though. I just want to say, I just wanted to obviously go on to what you said about Enzo. Obviously, it's fantastic. I think it's a great transfer. He's a really good midfielder. As we said, obviously, you get Chavez bantering him saying he had a good World Cup. You don't know if he's good or not, whatever. Who cares? Do you know what I mean? He's still a good midfielder. That's what you want as a Chelsea football club because you're struggling for a good midfielder at this moment. But
yeah.
Then again, obviously what I said earlier about like the whole kind of like values as well. Like you've spent over 500 million in 6 months, and obviously I know there's a way you've probably loopholed around like the whole kind of. But let's say you have spent 500 million in 6 months. You've basically completely rebuilt like a whole new 11.
Yeah, we really have, and what really needs to go with that now is outgoings.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So I'm not sure how likely it is to get one or two players, the Etches, Conor Gallagher's, to leave in this window. Hopefully there's a possibility, but in the summer there's going to be a lot of players leaving. We still have Lukaku on our books. We still have Jorginho, Azpilicueta. We signed the right back as well. So Azpi's going to go, hopefully, because he's past it as well. There's going to be a lot of outgoings. Pulisic, etc. move away. AC Milan are looking at him. It's like we do our business now. Is our summer window, then we can accommodate for these players leaving in the summer. Yeah, and then we could just focus on next season. Because despite all these players coming in, I still think it's not highly unlikely, but I still think it's unlikely for us to even get to it.
Is this a season of write-off for you guys then as a Chelsea football
club? It was a write-off when Tommy T left, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because as a new manager middle of the season, it's really hard. So obviously, I know Tuchel won the Champions League, etc. Did do that. That was a tremendous job. But for a manager like Potter, who's still learning on the job, it's going to be really difficult to finish top four. But let's see if he does, because we've got a lot of new players.
We still got 5 months left, or 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, exactly. So we can see what happens. But what do you lot think of Chelsea's transfer window as other fans? Are you guys like, why are they doing this, etc.? Like, obviously, I'm laughing to the bank, innit? I'm laughing at this because it's great for my club.
I'm just intrigued as to know how they've managed to pull it off, if I'm honest.
I agree with what you said. I was going to say, if for me, if you make all of these signings that don't have a clear out, it's a failure because you're going to have a load of unhappy players, people that aren't playing, and you're going to have to square one with an unhappy spot. And a manager that, in theory, we don't know how. Well, we mentioned it before. We don't know how he's going to react, but Todd Bowley could be the top of if there's no happy dressing. He wants to keep the players happy, so he gets rid of the manager. We don't know yet. So we'll have to wait and see. The players good, but the outgoings, as you said, you need to have a clear out. Otherwise, it could turn sour very quickly.
I mean, I do have a question. For, I obviously just leeching on to what Daniel said about the whole outgoings as well. Let's say, for example, in the summer when Lukaku comes back and no one wants to buy it, what happens then?
That's a very good point. I really have no idea because at the moment Inter don't look like they want to
Exactly, they don't want him.
buy him. So I'm not sure. Does he have another go at Chelsea with Potter? I'm not sure. Do we sell him off to Saudi? Because I know we're going to make a huge loss on Lukaku. It's going to happen. There's no way to pay 100 for him.
Outrageous talk. We've seen Weghorst go to Man United. This could be an outrageous shout, but Ten Hag plays with a big man out top. He could make a return to United.
That's just a bit of a yo-yo transfer from that guy, though, isn't it?
Right. We'll see if that happens.
He went back to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then back to himself.
That's funny. But you're right. You're right with the Lukaku one. It's a very strange one because everyone thought he'd go back to Inter and just go back to where he was before, but obviously fitness issues, lack of game time. That I don't think they're too thrilled with him at the moment.
They're not going to pay like 70 million plus for him.
No, 100% no. I'm prepared. I think Bowley's prepared as well. We're going to make a huge loss on a lot of these players. I think. But the thing is though, the players that we have bought before, I don't know what it was. Obviously, they're big names. Like Havertz is a big name. Lukaku should have worked out, but they just haven't worked out for a reason or another. And I think the outgoings is the most important part of the summer, to be honest, because I feel like this is our summer transfer window in the winter, getting these players in on long contracts. So I think outgoings is really important. And
it's almost like pre-season for you guys. This like end of the season, isn't it? For like the next season.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, we've had 2 weeks off. It's a really cool way of looking at it because we've like a couple of weeks. We haven't played football last week, so maybe just he went to the army camp or something. I heard Potter, so maybe just team building, introducing these new players. So maybe you're right. It's a very good point. But yeah, no, I was going to ask you, how do you feel as an Arsenal fan seeing Chelsea doing this, buying this many players and stuff? Do you look at it like, oh, why are they trying to ruin this league, or do you see it as like ambition? What is your thought? Because they're American owners and American owners do have a stigma of like not spending money, like with Kroenkes back in the day, or Glazers, or not being good owners and obviously no one wants them. So what's your thoughts in general, Chelsea?
It's kind of basing it on like kind of player and how they perform as well, because like, anyone could buy anyone for like say 100 million, but then it's whether or not they actually turn up for the actual football club they play for at the end of the day. Like let's say for example let's say, I know obviously it's never going to happen, but like imagine if Chelsea bought like Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, Mbappe, like Verratti, Thiago Silva, Sergio Ramos, like all of them bought basically PSG over to Chelsea, and then all of them lot just didn't turn up. Like it's all well and good spending all this money on these players, but the real test is basically now you've bought the players and you've bought your transfer window. Let's say Enzo comes through as well, like then great for you guys, but we'll know how scary you guys truly are when you actually, let's say for example, if all these players that you have bought then start to bond together. For example, like, because at the start it'll be quite hard for them to, because obviously they're all new together, they've never met each other before, so they're all going to be like, oh well, it's quite hard. They don't know each other's kind of skills and talents, so they kind of don't know how to play off it. But as I say, like this kind of pre-season kind of bit now for like these next couple of months, play these like bookie teams, build like use the players, and then don't use the players who you're going to sell. Do you know what I mean? Like play the Mudricks, play the Enzos, play the whoever that Maduki is, play the whatever his name is, that new centre back. Just keep playing these players and just basically keep building them up and up and up and up, and because then if that morale gets built between those players, that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. It'll be very, very scary because I think an 11 and let's say for example like if like a Watford 11 had the morale of Arsenal, and they'd probably beat you right now, like 4-0.
You look at like Leicester's team. You don't need an outstanding team to do anything.
You just need if the team has outstanding morale. Yeah,
if you have, you
saw it at the weekend.
Are you saying to win the league?
Just to beat anyone on their day. If you can get a sustained run going, I know it's only one game, but you look at the weekend. Like for example, Wrexham, like against Sheffield,
stage 5.
Yeah, like mentally they're going right. We're up for this, and if you can for example, Wrexham win that, who's not to say they get an easier draw or can pull off a shock? We see it loads.
Mm.
Obviously, I know it's slightly different, but as I say, if you could, this is what I think Elliot was trying to say, is if you could get a sustained run, which is why I mentioned Leicester, once you start winning a few games, they said on TalkSport the other day, as well as losing, you lose a couple of games and that's a habit, and you go on a terrible run. Winning's a habit as well. If you can win
That's
2,
true.
3, 4 games in a bounce, and you're like, hang on a minute here.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Exactly
you don't
that.
know what's good.
No, I agree with you. And I guess the another thing is, do you guys see now, from my eyes, do you think there's a little process going on at Chelsea, a project, or are you
Yeah.
still just thinking the club just
But it's
buying
going to
loads
take a
of
while
players
to.
for the sake
It's
of
going to
it?
take a while to form, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, it'll be
Mm.
maybe like, as I say, January next year, maybe to
I
actually
think I
be
think
in
this time
full
next year is a
effect.
good time to see the Potter and see if he's the right man for Chelsea. But
This time next year, yeah.
yeah, very quickly though, Elliot, I want to
I
get your
think
breaking
you're
news.
right, it's to happen.
Oh, it will happen. I'm guarantee it will. And a little breaking news that I just checked on my phone: potential Arsenal if Casado doesn't go through, looking at potential Jorginho to come in. How would you feel about that, Elliot? Live reaction if that happens.
Backup dancer for Jacko Pie. He could do a
Backup
job.
guard.
He could do a job.
Listen, I think even if it's not Casado, any midfielder with some sort of Prem experience will be good for you. So would
And
you
they'll want
take?
to join as well, though. That's the thing. That's what's good about it, is they'll want to join us. We're title contenders with a morale such as that. Even you see like Roy Keane looking at us thinking they've got such a happy mentality in that team that people want to be a part of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's good.
I think
Another transfer as well. To go over. What do you lot think of João Cancelo to Bayern Munich? Because obviously 6 months ago he was one of the
it
best.
was a bust up.
I wanna.
I think it was a bust up between Pep and Cancelo in the training ground. I think is what has happened from what I heard and reading.
I wanna say something about this. I think Cancelo's just a start.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, I think Cancelo's just a
What's your
start.
prediction?
I think half that starting 11 will not. Well, half of that like old 11 will go. Kyle Walker's going. I think Bernardo Silva will go. Gundogan will go. I think no, not Mahrez. Maybe Mahrez. Mahrez might go. Might get Laporte might go.
Do
Do you
you
reckon
think
Pep's
it's a
going to
start
clock
of the
it?
end for
It's
City?
not even the end. I was going to say, do you reckon Pep will just clock and like he's probably regretting selling Zinchenko because not only do you sell the player, you sell everything you've taught them.
So that's why I'm saying I think Cancelo's just the start for Manchester City. I think they'll go through a massive, massive clear out in the summer, and it'll be detrimental for them unless they actually know what they're doing. And I don't think they have a plan yet because they don't realise it's going to happen.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
So
We'll see.
Arsenal
I mean,
winning based off Elliot, Arsenal winning everything for the next.
So basically,
5 years,
Arsenal are going to win the Premier League for the
Yeah.
next 8 years. We're going to win the Champions League consecutively, like Real Madrid for 5 years. Yeah.
Listen. What Arsenal need to do is listen to me. They need to, if they win this league, amazing achievement, but they need to invest more in the squad, and then they can build a dynasty like Man City, because that's how you like cement yourself.
Agreed. But it's just all based on what we do this season.
What do you not think of just in general, very quickly before we end it? I know Chelsea spent more than the other 4 leagues combined. What do you think of, like, for example, the Prem in general? Like, we saw AC Milan or Inter Milan, was it competing with Bournemouth for that Zaniolo? What do you think of the state of the Prem? Do you think the Prem is like a super league in itself? Or
Yes.
what do you think is the issue?
It's where the money is.
It's not necessarily no. It's I don't. Well, it's also that, but I also think it's where the grandstand is. I think the Premier League is the grandstand. You see the likes of Nottingham Forest trying to sign Keylor Navas on loan. Nottingham Forest,
Yeah,
unbelievable. I think it's a case of it's a case of where like you've got 20 teams in the Premier League, where the Premier League is probably the most watched league in the entire world. Do you guys watch the French league or the German league? Do you watch it?
not dipping in and out here and there if there's a big game.
This is what I was going to say.
Big games.
It's
Do you
almost
see what I
like
mean, though?
like the pay gap debate in football. It's like the more eyes are on the men's game, that's why they're paid more. For example, the more eyes are on the Premier League than Bundesliga or Liga.
Exactly that. It's the grandstand. Exactly.
The
Like
competition
you get
as well,
more
isn't it?
out there, more competition.
There, more
Exactly.
sponsors are there.
Yep.
And it's not even that. It's you look at, for example, someone goes to Toulouse in the French league. PSG typically win the French Cups and the league, whereas if you look at
England, you still get
The
like the
Premier
likes
League,
of.
I know over the last couple of years, I was going to say, I know it's been Man City, but it's almost like, for example, you play for like
Well, even you,
a
for example,
Watford or
Watford
a
versus
Villa.
Man City in the FA Cup fight. Yeah, yeah.
No, I was going to play for Watford or a Villa or an Everton, and then they go, oh, like Caicedo, for example, you've been all right. We might win the league. We're playing. Come play for us.
Yeah.
Sort of, and you stay in the league. You stay where the money is. Whereas if you go, as I said, to Toulouse or to Reims or to whoever, you're only going to be take that one step up potentially if your team does well.
That's true. Should we end it here, boys?
That's it, man. Yeah, no
I
problem.
think that's it.